This is a story about humanity, kindness, and unexpected rewards. On an ordinary day, a woman named Grace was caught up in her busy routine when she encountered a man in a wheelchair struggling to reach his destination. Grace offered him a simple gesture of help, a ride, just a few minutes out of her day, but for the man, Thomas, it became a turning point in his life. The story unfolds with emotional depth, capturing the powerful impact of one small act of kindness. Not only did Grace's compassion ignite hope in Thomas, but it also transformed her own life, giving her a newfound sense of purpose. This inspiring tale reminds us that kindness is never wasted and that even the smallest gestures can lead to the greatest rewards. Hi everyone, welcome to Kindness Talks. Today I'm excited to share a new story with you. On a rainy afternoon in the heart of Chicago, the world seemed to move a little faster. Umbrellas bobbed through the streets, cars splashed through puddles, and pedestrians hurried to escape the chill. Amid this chaos, a woman named Grace pulled into a gas station. She was running late for an appointment, her mind racing with her to-do list. As she stepped out to pump gas, a figure caught her eye, a man in a wheelchair struggling to navigate the slick pavement. His name was Thomas, a middle-aged man with a kind but weary face. He wore an old jacket, clearly insufficient for the weather, and his wheelchair appeared as though it hadn't been serviced in years. He waved hesitantly at Grace, his voice barely audible over the rain. "Excuse me, ma'am. Could you help me get to the shelter downtown? The buses don't run here, and I don't have another way to get there." Grace hesitated. She had no time to spare and was already behind schedule. But as she looked into Thomas's eyes, she saw something that tugged at her, an unspoken plea, a quiet dignity. Against her better judgment, she nodded. "Sure, hop in. Well, let's figure out how to get you and the wheelchair in the car," she said with a small smile. Together, they maneuvered the wheelchair into her trunk, and Thomas settled into the passenger seat. The ride to the shelter was filled with stories. Thomas spoke of his struggles, how he had lost his home after a workplace injury, and how he was trying to get back on his feet, figuratively speaking. Grace listened intently, her heart breaking with each word. When they arrived at the shelter, Thomas turned to her. "Thank you, ma'am. People don't usually stop to help someone like me. You've done more than you know." Grace watched as he wheeled himself into the building, her chest tight with an unfamiliar mix of emotions. She hadn't done much, she thought. Just a ride. But it felt like more. The next morning, Grace's doorbell rang. She opened it to find a sharply dressed man holding a briefcase. "Good morning," he said. "My name is Michael Carter. I'm an attorney representing Mr. Thomas Wilson." Grace's heart sank. Had she done something wrong? Was Thomas filing a complaint against her for some reason? Michael quickly dispelled her fears. No, nothing like that," he said with a warm smile. "Mr. Wilson wanted me to deliver a message and an offer." He handed Grace a letter. Inside, Thomas had written a heartfelt note thanking her for her kindness. He explained that the shelter had connected him to resources he hadn't known existed, and for the first time in years, he had hope. But there was more. "I didn't tell you this," the letter read, "but before my injury, I was a small business owner. I still have some investments that have done well despite my circumstances. I've asked Mr. Carter to help me create a fund to support people who demonstrate acts of kindness, like you did for me. I'd like to start by offering you $50,000 to use for yourself, your family, or any cause close to your heart." Grace sat down, stunned. She had given a ride, nothing more. But to Thomas, it was everything. Over the next few weeks, Grace and Thomas kept in touch. Grace used part of the money to pay off her debts and the rest to start a community initiative, Wheels of Kindness, a program providing transportation and support for individuals with disabilities. The story of Grace and Thomas spread like wildfire, inspiring others to act with compassion. Local businesses donated vans for the initiative, volunteers signed up in droves, and even national news outlets picked up the story. One evening, as Grace and Thomas sat together at a fundraiser for Wheels of Kindness, Thomas turned to her. "You know," he said, "I thought you were helping me that day. But really, you gave me a reason to hope again." Grace smiled, her eyes misty. "And you reminded me that even the smallest acts of kindness can change lives." including my own. The story ends with a simple message: kindness is contagious. One act of compassion can ripple outward, creating waves of change. Grace's decision to stop that rainy afternoon didn't just transform Thomas's life, it transformed hers, and countless others.